Hello. Today is going to be a fantastic discussion. I hope you guys buckle up because I'm going to drop some bombs with Reiki Master Sarah Mitteer from Reiki of San Diego. That's right. All right, let's give it a sec for everyone to get notified. How's everyone doing today? There she is. Hello, hello. All right, let's see. I'll send you an invite. Here she comes. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. It's so good to see your face.
I know. Live. This is amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. I wish I could just reach out and give you a hug.
I know. At least we're not too far off in time zones. I'm glad that we are connected.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Hello. Oh my gosh, everyone's coming on. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Today's conversation is going to be so juicy. I have been wanting to get you live for years. I don't know if you remember, I asked you a long time ago if you wanted to do this.
Yeah. I've definitely, I could talk about Reiki for hours, and I love getting it out to just all the different realms of, I think even people who just haven't crossed paths with Reiki yet, or I think now too, because years ago, even when I started way back in 2016, the amount of people that didn't know what Reiki was when I mentioned it compared to now, it's just so remarkably different. And it's really amazing just how wide the industry is spreading rapidly. So I love it.
Yes, the collective consciousness is opening and expanding, and thanks to everything that happened with the lockdowns, I think that really excelled everyone into the more holistic style of everything. And, so this the modality of energy healing really got a spotlight shined on it. And I'm so, so grateful because it has been the work I did with you has just if I hadn't have done my work with you, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I want to dive into all of that. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for being here. So I would love to do Sarah's grand introduction. I don't even know how to say half the things you're certified in. So you can help me out with these ones. So everyone, welcome. Say hello to my beautiful, wonderful friend and energy healer, Sarah Mitteer. Sara is the founder and owner of Reiki of San Diego. She trained in both traditional, so it's USUI. How do you say that?
Usui.
Usui Reiki, and then there's another word after that is Ryoho. Ryoho. Okay. And Holy Fire Reiki. Wow, that just sounds cool. Sara is a certified Reiki therapist. She's a Reiki Master teacher, certified crystal healer, certified sound healer, certified yoga instructor. Girl, you've been busy. Certified hypnotherapist and trance medium. She also has a degree in psychology with a strong educational background in energy medicine, neuroscience, neurolinguistics, programming, hypnotherapy, body language analysis, and holistic therapy. And I love what a dork you are. And because of all of your beautiful geeky skills, you combine science and spirituality into your medicinal scholastic foundation.
Yeah, I love blending the two because when I started, it was so outside of my scope and realm because I was so much more on the Western side. I was actually on the track to be a neurosurgeon. I was pre-med, and so I very much trusted science and research. And then to start to get into this world, I'm like, I want to understand it, and I feel like there's so much more to be understood on a scientific level, and I think that's what makes it really accessible and really tangible for people. So I love blending the worlds.
Yeah, it kind of gives me the Joe Dispenza vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's been such a huge bridge too. I think when you hear people speak about something that's kind of ambiguous or ethereal by nature, or something that's very spiritually inclined as well, and you hear about these doctors or more Western professionals speaking about it too, it just really grounds it into reality, and people are more open-minded about it. So I love that there's a lot of people out there that are really getting into it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going viral. So I think that is helping the like awareness around it too. So I wanted to start off, I don't even know if I've shared this story with you. You'll have to let me know. But I wanted to start off and let everyone know how I found you, because it was just, it goes along with, you know, the whole thyroid situation that a lot of my community and my clients are in. So I remember I had gone through losing my brother. I filed for divorce. I enrolled in school. I really just took the power back in my life in like every way. I moved from Riverside to San Diego, and I was just reclaiming all parts of my life. And but I was still experiencing a significant amount of symptoms, extreme fatigue, crippling anxiety. I couldn't even drive still because of the anxiety, and still felt like a prisoner within my body to these, you know, external symptoms. And I was really fed up with doctors at that point. I had 10 years of them. I was just over them. But I'd learned about this drug called low dose naltrexone. And I was like, ooh, you know, and I was thinking it was going to be like this like happy pill or whatever, you know, the end all be all magical pill. So I found a functional medicine doctor in Poway, and I went and saw him, and I was like, I just want you to give me this medication. And he was like, fine. And he started prescribing me this medication, and I was paying all this money out of pocket, hundreds of dollars to see him, just to have my check-ins, to keep my med. And it was just this like 6 months of crazy dreams, and nothing else came of it except for losing thousands of dollars. So I went back to him kind of frustrated, and I was like, I don't like, this is a waste. I think this is a waste of my time and my money. But I still was like, okay with trying it. And he goes, you know what? Because I always brought this like huge 10-inch binder of labs with me. And he goes, just put your binder away. And he goes, with you, I think there's more going on. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, I think for you, this is energetic. And I was like, what? And he reaches behind him on this dusty little shelf, and he pulls off a business card and literally wipes like dust bunnies off of it. And he goes, this is for you. And he goes, I was holding on to this because I knew someone was going to need it at some point, but I didn't know who. So I guess it's for you. And it was like an energy healer, like the name to a woman. And I was like, what? And he was the one that like introduced me to this, and I'd never heard of it. So I went home and I started Googling it, and I was like, wow, this is cool. But I still didn't quite understand what it was. So I started cold calling energy healers in San Diego. And I was like, hi, what do you do?
What is this?
Literally straight up, like, what do you do? And they were like, oh, well, I do this. And I was like, kind of getting a vibe of like, well, that sounds kind of weird. I don't know about you. And so I was like searching reviews online, and I found you on Yelp. And the reviews were like this long. They were like novels. And the things I was reading about women that had had sessions with you, I'd never heard such stories in my life. And I sat there and I read for about an hour, and I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm booking a session like now. So I literally booked like right then. I got in contact with you, and we went back and forth, and I booked it just like a couple days later. And I remember when I showed up to your big office on the mountain, and I couldn't get in the door from the code and everything, but it was like so awesome. And I was in the middle of a meltdown. I was fighting with my ex-husband because we were going through our bad divorce. I think I was fighting with my current boyfriend at the time. And I was in like this total state of like chaos in my head. And I walked into our appointment. You welcomed me. We walked into your beautiful room. And I remember I don't know why. Your presence in your room, I guess, felt so safe. I just bawled. I just started bawling. And I just burst out, and I felt weird that I was just bursting out in tears to you, but you made me feel so calm and comforted, and it was okay. And I remember that whole first session, I couldn't even talk to you. I was just like sobbing the whole time. And you told me your story, and I'll never forget your story. So I want to start with your story. So let's dive into you.
I had no idea that whole backstory of what was orchestrated leading you up to being in my office, and it just feels so serendipitous, and I'm incredibly grateful that you trusted me. Yeah, and that you had such a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
Is there anything so I can't remember which part of my story. I feel like I have such a wide, big, long story. It could be like a segment of its own. Is there anything in particular you want me to share about like my background or kind of how I found Reiki?
I remember you were telling me that you were pre-med, and I think it was your parents said that your parents wanted you to become a doctor. Something about like pre-med and being a doctor, right? And then you realize, like, what am I doing? And you went to Europe. And so it gets really fuzzy from there because it's been years. And then I don't remember exactly what you said, but just like, I think what impressed me was how you were so young and you were like, no, I'm not going to do what you want me to do. This is what I'm called to do. And you just started following it.
Yeah. So absolutely. I started very much on the Western side of things. The kind of culture that I was raised in very much just supported that. There was no kind of alternative or holistic mindset really in my family. And I always knew I wanted to help people. I just wasn't 100% sure in what capacity and in what way. And I started on the Western side of things. I had such a fascination with neuroscience and the brain. And so that's why I was following kind of the neurosurgery track. And I was mentoring underneath one of the lead neurosurgeons in San Diego. And I was interviewing him and asking him a ton of questions just about his lifestyle and what his job is like and everything he had to go through to get up to that point. Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this is like the lead neurosurgeon in San Diego. He's made it to the point that my ego was like, that you've made it, you've hit that point. So let me understand everything that went into it. And one of the biggest questions that really moved me that I asked him was, would you do it all again? If you could start over knowing all of the trials and tribulations, you'd have to go through the education, the debt, everything, knowing that you've made it, would you do it again? And he said no. And I asked him why, and he shared that his life was just so dedicated to that, because to be a neurosurgeon specifically, so much of it is on call. And so he's like, I can't tell you how many of my kids' birthday parties or soccer games I've missed. And that really, it struck me, and I, just kind of went internal and started processing if that's really the lifestyle I wanted to live. And then I think it wasn't even like 2 weeks later, I got a notification that he had been in a motorcycle accident and passed on impact. And that really was like a wake-up call to me. And in that time period, I was not super intuitive. I didn't have a lot of belief in like serendipity or synchronicity or the divine. Now in hindsight, I can see very much how that was part of the orchestration of my path. But that was a major wake-up call for me to realize that he had just said he wouldn't do it all again. And here he is, having made it, having missed so much of life, and then now he can't continue it. And so that launched me into such a major, almost like career crisis or identity crisis of like, what am I supposed to do now? And then I had a bunch of other series of just like stressors and traumas and so much I was moving through in my life that just continued to amplify the question mark and the feeling of being lost. And I was in so many different pathways. I was a dance instructor, I was a yoga instructor, a bartender, a babysitter. I was doing so many different things. I was an office manager for a hypnotherapy company. I was also pursuing hypnotherapy and psychology. I was double majoring in psychology and biology. And so it felt like my feet were in like 1,000 different baskets, and I had no idea which one was the one for me. And so this was so outside of my scope and realm at the time, but I was like, I'm going to go see a psychic and see if they have, like, what do I have to lose? Yeah. And turns out you do have a lot to lose. You lose a lot of money and a lot of time. There's like a lot of stress and energy. Because I went to several different psychics, and most of them, it gave me this sense that they were telling me what I wanted to hear. And the thing that I lit up the most about was the thing that they would highlight the most. And it didn't strike any chords, until eventually I did end up going to Europe and studying under a healer in Holland, and just learning a little bit more and getting more immersed in Reiki. That was actually the first Reiki session that I ever personally received, was in Holland. But after several different psychics, there was one that I just happenstance ran into in a bookstore, and I was so mad, and I went up to her, I'm like, how do you know the difference between a real psychic and a fake one? Because I'd spent so much money and I'd overheard her talking to someone, so I knew that she was a psychic that worked at that bookstore. And she's like, I think you'll just feel it. And I had no connection to my intuition whatsoever. So I was like, can I buy like 5 minutes with you? I did not want to invest more than that. And she read tarot, and she proceeded to read my life to me like it was my book, like my autobiography. And I said nothing to her. I didn't give any leading information or biased information. The thing that struck me the most, I ended up extending the time more and more and more for a full hour. And she told me, when I got to the big question, like, what do I do? Which path do I pursue? She said, none of them. And I'm like, okay, you have my attention. And at the time, I'm not sure maybe just Reiki wasn't big, or she didn't know what it was, but she's like, I see you doing something with your hands, like placing your hands on people and they're healing, and you're using crystals. And I just kind of rolled my eyes at the whole like hands on people healing, because I had no idea what that was. It went straight over my head. But the crystals resonated because I've always since childhood been obsessed with crystals. I didn't know that they had healing properties, but I just had this huge collection as a child, and I always loved collecting rocks and crystals. So that got my attention. And then fast forward a couple days, I start getting all of these emails that I never signed up for Reiki trainings. I'm like, okay. Oh, wow. And even, for my skeptical, doubtful mind at the time, that was poignant enough for me to go, okay, I'm listening. And so I started doing research, found a Reiki training, went all the way through the whole process. And, one thing just kind of led to another. It all just like fell into place. I always say Reiki found me, because quite literally it found my inbox somehow. It's been a really magical journey, and it has completely changed my life, because I've been, similar to some of the stuff you've already mentioned, like having my own personal physical things I'm going through, or mental emotional things. And I feel like energy work really was the missing piece that I didn't even realize was missing from the other more Western traditional pathways of healing.
Oh, no, I love that you just said it's the missing piece, because that's exactly the way I feel. And for me, on my path of restoring my body, it really was the missing piece too. And I love that she said with your hands, when you said that, it was like I had a flashback of our sessions. And even though I had the eye mask on and the music, and I couldn't see you, I could feel your hands, when you would move them so gently. I don't know, your touch is so magical over the chakra points, and like the different experiences I was having each one, and the releases and the visions and the things I was experiencing. Was talk about you going through magical things. Like, I felt like you're magic. Like, you can do magic. And yeah, so I love that. You never told me that side of your story. It's even cooler. I love that.
Yeah, whenever people ask me, I'm like, short story, medium story, long story. Because there's so much intricacy. And I think that's the beauty of Dharma, when your path is kind of destined and laid out for you, just the wild way in which your path will unfold. Mm-hmm. But I feel incredibly blessed.
Wow. Okay, let's dive into what the heck are we talking about? Because I think with like what you said before, there are still a lot of people, and because I know I'll ask my clients, like, have you heard of energy work? Have you done energy work? Have you heard of Reiki? And it's still very much like no, what's that? So if you could describe energy work basically, the basics of it, how would you say that?
Yeah, So I'm going to bring in the science piece of it because I think that's what creates the tangibility for people to really understand it. Although there is this whole mystical side of it that I think is not able to be fully comprehended or understood by science. And I don't think it ever will be. And I think I always say to people, proof is in the pudding. When it works and you have that undeniable experience, that's all you need. You don't even need the science at that point. But understanding some of the science of how it works, especially because now more and more research is coming out, it's just amazing that we actually have something tangible to show what's been working and why it's been working this whole time. But I like to explain it kind of like muscle memory. So if you do the same thing repetitively, like brushing your teeth or driving your car, our body quite literally memorizes the muscle memory of that, and it becomes very automatic, very patterned. And our energy works in the same way. We are complete energy fields. We're actually an electrical system. If you think of the brain and how the brain is literally releasing electrical signals that are communicating to all of our organs, and that's what's producing the release of all of like the neurochemicals and hormones. So it literally, electronics inside of us is what's controlling our entire physiological health, but also our energy is affected by everything, our external environment, the people we're around, the life experiences we have, the thoughts that we have repetitively if we just stay on loop, or we have certain traumas we've been through that we've not fully processed, or grief we've experienced that's not been fully processed. So all of that stays in our energy field. And this is how I believe just having moments of, let's say anxiety, for example. You can have fear come up in your everyday life because of something you're going through. And then eventually it becomes so patterned inside of your energy fields that it almost gets stuck there, or it gets stuck in this pattern. And then you could just be sitting on the couch watching Netflix and feel all of this anxiety, and there's no reason to feel anxiety. So our energy body very much absorbs patterns and operates in patterns in the same way in which our muscles, our muscular system does. So Reiki is a way of essentially clearing, like if you could just click the reboot button on the electrical system or on the energy system and help to clear those patterns out, or go in and intentionally change the patterns. That's what I would say in a nutshell Reiki does. It also, we actually now have instruments that measure frequency, which is amazing. And we understand that Reiki is the exact same frequency as the core of the earth. So the idea is that we're flushing our body back to its original blueprint. And it's not necessarily Reiki that's doing the healing. It's your body. You're just activating your body's natural healing capacities, because I truly believe that. I've seen that. I've personally experienced that. What happens when your body is at a healing frequency, or the right frequency, or the right resonance, it will just come back into alignment, and that'll affect everything: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual.
Yeah, and it does. I'll never forget how I felt after my first session with you when I left the building and I got into my Uber to go home. It was like I was in this cloud of happiness. I don't even know how to describe it. So when you're saying like it resets your frequency, it was like I came into you on a frequency of anger, grief, loss, just so low vibration and just horrible, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, broken in all ways. And I left and it was like I was in this altered state of like calm and peace and love and joy. And I'd never experienced that before. I literally felt like I was in a movie. And I was watching the freeway, as I was driving home on the 8, and I was just like, this is crazy. But I loved it. It felt good. It was like I had peace for the first time in so long. And I went home and I called my mom, and I was just telling her what happened. And because I had so much release around losing my brother and my dad. And it was just, I was like addicted. I was like, if this is what this is, I need to do some more of this, like instantly, like in love.
Yeah, that's what I say to new clients when they call in and they're like, I'm new, I've never tried this before. I'm like, welcome to the addiction. Most people, yes. They're just like, buckle up, it gets wild. It's so incredible. And I find that it's what people have been looking for in their healing journeys. So that truly is, I think, what we're all in pursuit of, is just this feeling of harmony and peace and just calm and grounded. And then it's from that place that everything else in life is just going to thrive and click into place. But it's such a resonance thing. It literally is energy. And I think people, whether they're in tune or not, they can feel this on some level and have felt it. Even just being around other people, there's a term in psychology called co-regulation, where just being around someone else who's calm or grounded or happy and uplifting, that our energy field, not only our energy field, but actually our heart rate will start to match someone else. And so it shows how much our body, our system will literally sync or regulate with someone else. And then now if you add in this other element of someone who's an energy healer, where they can go into sync with source energy or the core of the earth, or the frequency of the heart chakra, the frequency of being grounded or peace. And so if they can tune, as an energy healer, if I can tune my energy field to be in a certain resonance, then you will co-regulate with that and feel that and literally experience it. And it's pretty magical.
Yes, and your vibe, let me just say, everyone, her vibe is so grounded and calm. Like instantly, the second I would walk, like even just be in your room or like your vicinity, in your beautiful, and the vibe of your room and the beautiful lights and just you are like walking into the Garden of Eden. Like, hello, Sarah. I'm good. I'm here with you. That's all I need. I'm good now.
Yeah, I think
because I second that.
It matters. That really even goes to kind of amplify that concept of the environment you're in. If your home is stressful or loud, and I think there's a certain reality just living, for me in San Diego, in a city life. I know a lot of people live in kind of a concrete wall, and it has a certain frequency to it. And I think a lot of people can feel that too, being out in nature, just the dramatic difference and how fast and easy it is for our nervous system to shift states just based on the environment. So I'm glad that you got to experience the magic of the space too, and all the highly charged crystals. You're definitely not the first one that's walked in and immediately started crying, because I feel that not only, psychologically you can feel safe, but your body and your nervous system, when it finally feels held, and held especially by high frequency, and just having a space with so many crystals and so much love and so much charged energy, just creates like a little cocoon of safety for you to finally like be with yourself and what's been stuck inside.
I couldn't put it in words at the time, but looking back, that's probably exactly what happened. Because in the moment I was just so crazy. But so since I've met you, you've significantly grown your practice, and now you have a lot of other healers with you. Congratulations on that. And I also got to experience the last session I had. I think I don't remember exactly, like 4 or 5 with you, maybe 6. And then I was going through a really hard decision where I was having like a heart-head conflict, and I couldn't get clarity on this hard decision I needed to make. So I reached out to you, and our calendars were clashing. It was the strangest thing. And you said to me, I think it's not meant to be for us to meet. How do you feel about meeting with Lisa? And you said, Lisa is a medium, and I know that your brother's passed away and this is a thing for you. So are you comfortable with meeting, Lisa, who could potentially, like connect with your brother? And I was like, oh, like I was so taken back. Like I didn't even know it, like I missed him, and it was like the most weirdest confliction of feelings. I was like, oh my gosh, that'd be so cool, but it was like kind of strange too. But I just had this huge nudge of like, yes, I'm gonna do this. And so I was like full of excitement and nervousness, but I really needed to make this decision. It was a huge life-changing decision of like moving, leaving, all these things. So I met with Lisa, one of your practitioners, and I don't even know how to describe that session. It was so powerful. Like the whole session was with my brother, with her, and I actually received all of my clarity and answers in that one session, and I made my decision. And but that was just incredible. So, do you want to like speak to the other women that you have on your team that also offer incredible services?
Sure. I got full body, like scalp chills as you were sharing that. It's just, it's so amazing whenever that level of alignment happens. It's just, yeah, it's so magical.
It really is.
Yeah, I am so incredibly grateful for the team that I have. I found it started as just me, my own private practice, and it grew so rapidly. And people, I mean, I was working like Monday through Saturday, seeing 20 to sometimes 30 clients a week, and it was just depleting me, and I wasn't able to really show up for myself in the way that I wanted and needed. But I had this like dharma, like this aching heart inside of me that's like, I literally could not turn people away because I felt like I had such a gift that I could offer. And so that's what birthed this kind of idea of, okay, clearly this is a thing that people really, really need. I wonder if I can call in someone or more than one someone that can help me, and I can help train them or coach in whatever capacity, because I feel like I'd kind of tuned a particular kind of style and flavor of Reiki that was really well received. And I also know that a lot of people just don't know what to look for. And that's the big question that I get often. They're like, there's so many different lineages of Reiki and different styles, and there's so many different modalities that are incorporated. And how do I know someone who's a legitimate practitioner who has taken, a proper training and has been studying this for years versus someone who's just become a Reiki master in a weekend workshop? And it's unfortunate, kind of with the expansion of Reiki, I think it's important that it's accessible, but I think some programs have become a bit too watered down, and there's no regulation in the industry, so it can be really hard just to know what to look for. And I hear a lot of people just having kind of a crunchy experience in the research process. So that kind of birthed a second layer of my dharma of, I've created this entire business platform. Like, how can I support other healers who are incredibly gifted in what they do, but just have no business foundation or background to be able to share their gifts with the world? And then on the other side of it, help save the public from having to do all of that research and all of that vetting, and know that anyone they book with in our practice is really highly trained. But not only trained, just I really truly look for people who it's their dharma, and they're not just doing it for a job, but they are literally made, like cut from the healing fabric. They're made for it. And so it started, with one practitioner, and then that just expanded so beautifully, and then led to a second and a third. And then now we just have such a variety of different healers. They all have different modalities. We do hypnotherapy and trance mediumship and quantum resonance. We have EFT practitioners, oracle readers, astrologists, tarot readers, and they all have their unique little blend. And I think that's also one of the beauties of having a whole team, because when someone calls in, it's not always an amazing healer is not going to be amazing for everyone. There's something to be said about resonance, but also timing. So there are some clients that I've worked with that are resonance kind of completed in whatever chapter of healing, and then they transition on to work with someone else. And I've also personally worked with multiple of the practitioners on my team, and they each have such a different flavor and a different, I call it in the world of metaphysics, they have different codes. They have essentially different answers for me, and they can wake up certain things inside of me. They hold a certain resonance that can help me, like whether I need someone who's really, really grounded, or I need someone who's really spiritual, or I need someone who's really empowered and has this kind of like masculine energy versus someone who's kind of airy-fairy. And all of them can be helpful at different points in time on someone's healing journey. And so it's such a cool experience to speak with someone and just kind of see where they're at on their journey and help to match them with someone that's at the particular resonance that they need. I feel like an energy healer matchmaker sometimes, and it's just so
You
much
are.
fun.
You are. I've texted you so many times for other people, and you're just like, just have them talk to me. You know, like I need them to just come tell me. And I understand how you feel, because that's how I feel with my clients. I'm like, I need to just tell me your story. Where are you at? What's going on? And I can be like, hey, we're going to start here. We're going to start here. Yeah. So I get it. Wow. I didn't even realize you had oracle readers and tarot. Like, you've really expanded. Wow, I'm gonna have to come back and do some other stuff.
Yeah, anytime, whenever it calls.
Yeah, yeah. So you named off about what, maybe 6 or 7. So how big is your team now?
We have 8 different practitioners, myself included. Yeah.
Wow, cool. So if someone doesn't know where to start or what to do, what do you suggest?
I would say book the initial complimentary intake call with me, and we'll hop on the phone and answer questions and make sure that it's a good fit. You know, I think same thing as an amazing healer is not going to be amazing for everyone. Also, Reiki as an amazing modality maybe is not always the modality for everyone. And so that's also one of the beauties of having so many different modalities, is I can really key into, are we going to be able to support you with what your intentions are? And I can help to at least point you in whatever right direction that is to save you some time. We also, I don't know if you've seen this. This has been a recent release. Have you seen the BioWell on
No.
our website? Okay, I will share it also for everyone that's watching. But the BioWell it's similar to Kirlian photography, but it's not a pseudo technology. So the type of technology that takes a picture of your aura. But this was created by an actual physicist who very much believes in science and wanted to kind of also blend the world of spirituality with science. And so this device takes a scan of each of your fingers, and it applies a really mild electromagnetic shock. Essentially, it's not something you'll feel, to your finger to stimulate your electromagnetic field and then capture a picture of your energy. And then it has this crazy process in which it runs all of the diagnostic, or all of the information through diagnostics, and then spits out a bunch of information about what's happening in your chakra system, what's overactive, underactive, out of balance, if you're being affected more by an internal factor or an external factor, the strength of your meridians, which meridians are overactive or underactive, if there's anything going on in your physiological system, if there's too much of an imbalance of like right to left hemisphere. Yeah, it gives you so much useful information. So that's been a really cool tool to start working with, because I think a lot of people don't know where the root of their problem is. You know, they might have physical ailments, but it might not be like your experience. It might not be a physical problem. It might be an emotional problem, or it might be a spiritual problem. Or some people come in anticipating that it's a spiritual problem, and no, it's really actually something physiological going on, and they just need to change their diet, or they need to drink more water or something like that. So that's one of the benefits of taking a really holistic approach, and then also having a tool like this, is we can actually see what's going on inside of your energy field. And then also on the intuitive side of things, in our initial session, you receive an energy reading where the practitioner will give you all the downloads of what they picked up on intuitively, where there's imbalances in their system, yeah, any messages that came through. And so that can be a really helpful piece too of working with an intuitive, is really trying to find what the root is. So you just kind of cut straight to the root, and you don't address all of the symptoms or the weeds that have grown around the original problem, and it just makes the whole process so much more seamless. So that would be the
Wow.
first step. I think just give me a call and I'll talk to you, and we will see if it's a good fit.
Wow. Sarah, that sounds amazing. I need to come do that. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it
So
is.
can you only do that in person, or, I mean, you said fingerprints, so I'm assuming.
Yeah, there is apparently a way that it can be done virtually. However, my science brain is a little skeptical about
Mhm.
that. There is a metaphysical side, and there's like a whole training process that has to be gone through about how to do that. But I think that the tangibility of that, and just how tangible and scientific it is, it's best to be done in person. Yeah,
Yeah.
but there are other biowell practitioners around the world. And so yeah, there might be someone local in your area. For anyone who's watching, it's worth looking up to see, or make a journey out to San Diego.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Or just make an excuse to go on vacation in San Diego for the weekend. I mean, why
Exactly.
not, right? It is,
Not
there
a
you go.
bad place to be. We have so many people who come in from out of town, who just want to have a really like healing experience, do like a spiritual wellness day. So it can be a
Yeah.
really special vacation.
Yeah, I get your emails all the time for the sound baths, and I just want to cry. I'm like, I need to. I'm going to be moving back, and I've decided that when I move back, I'm going to do your Reiki 1 certification and come to every single sound bath you offer.
I love that. Love
I just want to immerse myself in the goodness of your world. Yeah. So, okay. One of the things that I would love to just, you've already touched on it significantly, but I want to just be really clear about this for everyone. So I want to talk about like disease and how physiological symptoms can manifest from what you've been saying, like imbalances emotionally, physically. Have you, I mean, I'm a testament to it, I think, in my life, but have you noticed a significant improvement of people that come in and they work on their traumas? Like if they had, you know, a history of abandonment or, you know, molestation or any sort of trauma, like from a crazy narcissist relationship, and it's actually healed them or helped them move forward with ditching actual physical symptoms like pain and these sort of things.
Absolutely. I've personally experienced that. Gosh, I've seen that in probably like 90% of our clients. It's really, it's shocking, I think, for people when they realize just how much their physiological system is affected by the energetic system, because there can be actual physical trauma that occurred. It doesn't even have to be emotional trauma. A quick example, I had a client a long time ago who was in a car accident and injured her back really severely. And she had gone through years of everything you can imagine, acupuncture and acupressure and massage and chiropractic work and physical therapy. And she had gotten to a point where she just resigned herself to having this pain for the rest of her life. And funny enough, it wasn't actually what we were focusing on at all. We were focusing on other things in her life, but we started to see these parallels of where she literally wasn't feeling supported in her life. And the spine is very metaphysically, energetically connected to the support inside of us. And so as we were doing this other work, she came to me one day after a couple months of sessions and was like, Sarah, I don't know what happened and when it changed, but my back pain is gone. I have no idea when it went away. And it amazed me just as much because we weren't even focusing on it. And that's something that's very physiological. It was a physical trauma. However, I think even energetic imbalance that's being caused by other things mentally or emotionally or environmentally can prevent our body from healing, because we have such an incredible healing capacity. We just have to be in the right alignment, the right resonance in order for that. But then also mental and emotional traumas, I mean, that's stored in our energy field. And this is where I think a lot of people run into a wall with traditional talk therapy. It has its place. It's a really important piece of the puzzle to verbally process, mentally process things. But I think where it hits a wall is emotion doesn't actually exist in the mind. Emotion exists in the body, in the energy field. And so in order to process it fully, we have to actually address it on that level. We can't talk our way out of an emotion. We have to feel our way out of an emotion or through an emotion. And I know a lot of people have been hearing more this term, body keeps the score. There's a big book that's out there about it. And I think it's becoming more well known about how much our body literally holds our life experiences. Scientists are now really, really certain, science and research has shown that this is another interesting fact kind of on the concept of body keeps the score. It's not actually our cell that holds memory. Inside the cell, we have what are called soft antennas that connect in with the field around us, our energy field. And so cells and even our DNA will literally be affected by whatever is in our field. And so if there are memories of traumas or charged emotions that are unresolved and unprocessed in our field, or even just being around other people that have that in their field on a daily basis, it's going to affect literally the way that your cells function, the way your DNA functions. So there is such an inseparable connection between mind, emotions, and body.
So, okay. So if the cell, the mitochondria, is that, I'm assuming that's what you're referring to, you said it has antennas, and the antennas are what are picking up the disturbances of the energy field or someone else's energy field. It's not the actual cell itself where it's stored.
Yeah, the cell's not actually
Wow.
what's holding the memory, it's your energy field. So this is where energy
Wow.
medicine becomes really useful, is we're not going into your cell and clearing it out because it's not holding anything. It's just holding the antenna that's connecting to the field that's holding the emotion. But we can go in and shift the energy that's in your field and bring it back into harmony and resonance. And people will often have emotional releases during sessions, and it's literally releasing what's stuck and stored in their field, and then they just feel better. Their body starts to heal and resolve whatever is going on. And yeah, it all is just energy.
The way you said that so nonchalantly, like people will have releases. I remember mine. I was like weeping, like uncontrollably sobbing. Like I have never sobbed the way I sobbed in our sessions, and it wasn't anything like you were doing. It wasn't like you were ripping it out of me. I mean, like I said before, you just were like gently, like hovering your hands over my chakras. And it was just, I don't know, maybe you can teach me more about this, but whatever was happening, it was, I don't know. It was, you tell me, like, why was I just sobbing like these? And it wasn't every chakra point if evoked that emotion, but yeah, it was like, it was almost like the only way I can describe this sobbing, it was like energetic vomit out of my mouth and out of my eyes, of all of that pain or trauma I was holding.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all just whatever was stored in your field. And not everyone has that experience on, the first session or first handful of sessions. I very much believe in the healing intelligence that exists inside of our energy field. And I imagine that for some people that sounds really scary or intense. And I find that people will always have the experience that's within their window of tolerance, and it might stretch their window of tolerance a little bit. But I've had people who also just never cry. They kind of pride themselves on that because of societal programming. They're like, I don't cry, I'm strong and tough and I hold it all together. And then finally they're able to start processing some emotion, but it's always going to be correlated to what's within their capacity to be able to tolerate. But it's so liberating to finally release what's in there. And sometimes it surprises people that they had no idea what their field was still holding on to. And a lot of times people have like flashbacks or memories or old things come back to mind that they hadn't thought of, since childhood or since it happened. Not always traumatic things. Sometimes it's just like little blips and flashes of things, and you're starting to see literally what's been stored in your field. And sometimes the smallest things that didn't seem traumatic in the moment was traumatic on some energetic level, and then it was held and stored as some sort of a belief system. And it can be as simple as like your second grade teacher is saying like, oh, don't tip your chair backwards, Sarah. And then, that stored the energy of like feeling humiliated and then feeling embarrassed, like everyone is looking at you and like you're doing something wrong. And then that, we can kind of extrapolate all the different directions that can start to take. And so when we start to release all of this energy that's been stored in the energy field, and all of the belief systems that are connected in with it, all of the thought patterns and cycles, the perceptions of life all start to change and come down with it.
Yeah. And it might have sounded horrible what I said, but like you said, it was the most liberating, incredible, awesome experience. And it felt good. It actually felt good. My body wanted to purge all of that out. And that's probably why it needed to. You know, I'd been through 15 years of hell in my marriage, so I wasn't surprised. But like I said at the beginning, like it was like I floated out of your office on a cloud after all of the energetic vomit came out. And, you know, it's incredible when you start feeling, for me, when I started releasing all of this energetic baggage that was weighing me down, I definitely started experiencing less anxiety attacks. I was having more, I felt like I could get more in tune with my intuition, and there wasn't that disconnect from my intuition. So I started having more clarity on who I was, what choices I was making, where I was going, you know, just clarity with everything. Because you're just not, like you said, stuck in those habits and those patterns that you might not even be aware you're stuck in.
Exactly. I think there's so much in our unconscious field that's literally in our energy field that are running the programs in our life. And if we have certain limiting belief systems, we're going to show up to life a certain way and respond to life a certain way and make certain decisions as if that limiting belief system is true and real. And it's not until I think we start to build this awareness, and that's what I've seen so many of our clients go through, is just building a deeper sense of self-awareness. And it's like it brings whatever has been kind of in the background, in the shadow in our energy field, to the forefront, so you can really look at it and address it and start to change it. And I always say it's like the magic pill that I think everyone's looking for. It's not as fast as we would kind of fantasize that a magic pill would work. It definitely is a process of unfolding, but yeah, it's just remarkable, and there's no limitation. The longer I've been in this, there have been so many times where I've hit the ceiling where I'm like, it can't get any better than this, and it just blasts through the roof every single time. And yeah, I love when people are ready to embark on this journey and have the curiosity. I think if somebody, has that little spark of curiosity or inspiration, there's something inside of them going like, there's some answers there for me. So it's worth trusting.
Yes. If anyone hears this or sees this and is like, yeah, that spark, like you said, like, ooh, that would be fun, or, ooh, I want to try that, or, yes, I know I have some stored shit that I need to get out of me, like, do it. Like, answer that call, honor what you're being, like, asked to do, because I like what you said. We're all looking for a magic pill from Big Pharma, but this really is where the magic is held. And I was very inspired to reach out to you at this point on my coaching journey. I'm 4 years in now, and it's just incredible, how the more I get to know my clients, there's always the stuff. There's always the stuff back there, when I start just digging in, and it's like, oh, we gotta start working through that, whatever it may be. I don't feel heard. My mom did this to me when I was a little girl, or this experience, from whoever, whatever. I feel like at this point, it's almost like everyone has something, like we either inherit it. I mean, that's one of the things I'm going through right now, is just this incredible ancestral bloodline healing that I'm having to do for not only me, but 6 grandmothers back, and I'm just like, okay, you guys, like, we got a lot of work to go through. And I'm working with a psychic medium right now. And I actually have started working with this, as a student with a spiritual coach right now, to be able to work through and learn some more things about all this too, because it's a huge piece of the puzzle. I tell my clients all the time, like, you can eat as clean as possible. You can take all the supplements. There's so, you can be doing everything right. We can get you celery juicy, then fixing your minerals, and, work on your gut and all the things that I do for the body. But if you got that stuff kicking out, hanging out back there in your trunk, honey, you got to address it. You can't hide it. You can't hide from it. You can't neglect it. It's going to get you.
Yeah, mind, body, and spirit, all three are so instrumental in wellness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned the piece about the ancestral component too, because that's something that I find a lot of people don't give a lot of credit to, is just how many patterns are passed down in our DNA, and we are genetically predispositioned for things for a reason. And so not only the kind of nature side of things, but the nurture, like, passing down tendencies to people please, or to not speak your truth, or to not self-advocate. Those are really common ones that I see come up, especially in women. And you're literally holding generations and generations of pattern. And it's been scientifically shown now that we can track, like, when a trauma happens, we can trace it back in the genome for generations. So it'll be passed down and present in for future generations DNA. And so you're working with not only your own life experiences, but your ancestors' life experiences. And yeah, it's a lot to move through. And I think diet and vitamins, God, that's such an important piece of it. But yeah, mind, body, spirit, all three, you need the whole approach.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's why we're all about the whole body approach here. Yeah. Yes. I would love to do another live sometime about the ancestral aspect of it, because I had no idea when I started on my recovery that I was going to be, and for me, a lot of this started coming through my deep meditations and like these hypnotic, certain breaths I was doing in meditations. And I know I have different spiritual gifts than other people, so they might not have these similar experiences. But for me, I had a lot of grandmothers. They started showing this to me through my meditation. So it wasn't like I went to 23andMe and, started doing all this, digging up all this actual physical paperwork to find out like the stories of my grandmothers. Like this has been a very personal journey that I've been on, that's been uncovered and revealed to me. So if someone hears this, they might think like, oh my gosh, how would I figure that out? I'm assuming you could help them with that, but that's where mine started and how it awoke to me and a part of my journey that I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such an, I think, underestimated piece of our health and wellness too. And it's in the collective. A lot of people are really talking about generational trauma and ancestral karma and how that works in not only a psychological sense, but an energetic sense too.
Yeah. Yeah, my friend messaged me last week and he showed me that he's a coach. He survived cancer. He's like a detox coach. He's really cool. And he showed me a picture of a download he got for the 3 different types of DNA, where one was like a spiritual DNA, one was an emotional DNA, and one was like the physical DNA. I think that's how he segregated it. And it was really, really cool. And I'm going to be talking to him more about that. But we got like a few more minutes left. I know you probably got to get going back to your practice. So why don't you tell everyone where they can hook up with you?
Yeah, my website is reikiofsandiego.com. Or you can find Reiki of San Diego on Instagram and send us a DM and we can get you set up with an initial intake call. Also, for anyone watching, if you find out about us through this, we'd love to offer you a little special. We have our initial Reiki sessions are a 90-minute experience for $200, and you can add on crystal therapy and sound healing. And so I want to gift to anyone a complimentary both crystal therapy and sound healing, so it'd be $40 off. It's a really great, I almost think of it like bombarding your energy field with a bunch of different types of energy. And if you are covered in crystals, receiving Reiki at the same time as listening to a sound healing track, it just really deepens the experience and expands what we can do. So I'd love to offer that, but anybody can reach out anytime. We're always here, or you can browse the website and see the different healers that we have available, but I'm always available for questions.
Oh, that sounds so divine. Doused in crystals with the music and oh gosh. Do it, everyone, do it. Go do it if you can. The link for her website is in her bio as well. And I encourage you guys to go look through the practitioners that she has, the different healers. There's very detailed bios on each one and what they do and their specialties. And I'll read them every like 6 months or so and see who you've added to your practice or what you've updated. It's been a while since I've done it, but yeah, I read these women's bios and what they offer, and it's mind blowing. You know, these people that exist on this planet, the spiritual gifts they have and the healing they can offer. It is like, I'm just like, don't, I love talk therapy, but just don't even waste your time on like Western modalities. Like, just go here and have all your needs covered and work with Sarah's practitioners, work with me. You're good. You're good.
Your little health team.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you again so much for being here. You're so wonderful. It was great listening to you. I could just listen to you talk forever. I just love your knowledge.
This has been so special. Thank you again for the invitation, and I'm excited at any time. I'm always happy to hop on and share some more of my insights.
Awesome. All right. Well, I will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.